Zara's hand connected with his face so hard, the entire wedding reception went silent. Min-jun stood there, his jaw clenched, a red mark blooming across his pale cheek. But he didn't move, didn't blink, just stared at her with those dark, unreadable eyes that had once made her feel everything and now made her feel nothing but rage. Feel better? His voice was ice. Her hand trembled. You don't get to ask me that, not after what you did. What I did. He stepped closer, and she hated how her body responded, the way her breath caught, the way heat flooded her cheeks. You have no idea what I did for you. You destroyed me. Her voice cracked. Guests were watching now, whispers spreading like wildfire. The bride, his cousin, looked mortified. Min-jun's hand shot out, gripping her wrist, not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to keep her from running. We need to talk, now. I'm done talking to you. His jaw tightened, and something dangerous flashed in his eyes. Open wider then, because I'm not done with you. He leaned in, his breath hot against her ear. Not even close. Everything went silent, her vision blurred, because 3 months ago, this man had promised her forever, and then he'd walked away without a word, leaving her shattered and alone. Now, here he was, at his cousin's wedding, acting like he had any right to touch her, to demand anything from her. But the worst part? The part that made her want to scream? Her body still remembered his, still craved him, still burned for him even though her heart was screaming to run. 3 months earlier, you're staring again, Zara's best friend Keisha whispered, nudging her with an elbow sharp enough to bruise. Zara blinked, dragging her eyes away from the man across the jazz club. Min-jun Kim. She'd been watching him for 20 minutes, and he hadn't looked her way once. Tall, impossibly handsome in that expensive suit that probably cost more than her rent, with sharp features and an aura that screamed danger. I'm not staring, I'm observing. Girl, you're practically drooling. Keisha laughed, tossing her braids over her shoulder. Just go talk to him. He's probably a billionaire or something, way out of my league. Since when do you care about leagues? Keisha grabbed her hand. Come on, life's too short. Before Zara could protest, Keisha was dragging her across the club. Her heart hammered against her ribs. This was stupid. She didn't do this. Approach strange men in clubs. She was a graduate student, for God's sake, drowning in student loans and living off ramen noodles. But then Min-jun looked up, and everything stopped. His eyes, dark, intense, impossible, locked onto hers. For a moment, she forgot how to breathe, forgot her own name, forgot everything except the way he was looking at her, like she was the only person in the room. Hi, she managed, hating how breathless she sounded. Hi. His voice was deep, accented, beautiful. A slight smile curved his lips. You're American. Born and raised. You're Korean. Born and raised. The smile widened. I'm Min-jun. Zara. She held out her hand, and when he took it, heat shot up her arm. His grip was firm, confident. Nice to meet you. The pleasure is mine. He didn't let go. Would you like to sit? Keisha cleared her throat loudly. I'm Keisha, by the way, the best friend who's about to leave because she knows when she's not needed. She winked at Zara. Text me later, or tomorrow, or whenever you come up for air. Keisha. Zara's face burned, but Keisha was already walking away, laughing. Min-jun gestured to the booth, and Zara slid in. He sat close, too close, and she could smell his cologne. Expensive, intoxicating. So, he said, what brings you here tonight? Honestly? My best friend dragged me. I was planning to stay home and eat ice cream while watching bad reality TV. He laughed, and the sound did something to her insides. That sounds perfect, actually. Yeah? She tilted her head. What were you planning tonight? His expression shifted, something dark flickering across his face. Avoiding responsibilities, pretending I'm just a normal man for a few hours. Are you not a normal man? Not even close. He leaned back, studying her. But for tonight, let's pretend I am. Deal? She should have asked what he meant, should have pressed for answers, but instead she nodded. Deal. They talked for hours, about everything and nothing. She learned he loved old movies, hated small talk, and had a weakness for American jazz. He learned she was getting her master's in international relations, that she'd lost her parents young and had been raised by her grandmother, that she believed in fate but not in fairy tales. Why not fairy tales? He asked, his fingers tracing patterns on her hand. When had he taken her hand? Because they're not real. The prince always has some dark secret. The castle's built on blood money, and happily ever after doesn't exist. Cynical. Realistic. He studied her for a long moment. What if I told you I could change your mind? I'd say you're welcome to try. His thumb brushed across her knuckles, sending shivers up her spine. Zara, I should tell you something. What? But before he could answer, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his entire demeanor changed. The warmth in his eyes vanished, replaced by something cold and hard. I have to go. He stood abruptly. Oh. Disappointment crashed over her. Okay. He hesitated, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card. Call me. Tomorrow, please. She took the card, her fingers brushing his. I will. He leaned down, his lips close to her ear. I'm not done with you yet, Zara. Not even close. And then he was gone. Present day. The wedding reception. Let go of me. Zara yanked her wrist from Min Jun's grip, stumbling back. The reception had erupted in whispers now, and she could feel dozens of eyes on her. Zara, please. His voice was low, urgent. Just 5 minutes. You had 3 months to talk to me. You chose silence. I chose to protect you. She laughed, but it sounded broken even to her own ears. Protect me. You destroyed me. You disappeared without a word. No call, no text, nothing. I thought... Her voice cracked. I thought you were dead. Something flickered in his eyes. Pain? Regret? She couldn't tell anymore. Miss? A security guard approached. Is there a problem here? Yes, Zara said. He won't leave me alone. Min Jun's jaw clenched. Zara, please escort him away from me. The guard looked between them, clearly uncomfortable. Sir? For a moment, Min Jun didn't move. Then he nodded, stepping back. Fine, but this isn't over. Yes, it is. She turned and walked away, her vision blurring with tears she refused to let fall. Not here. Not in front of all these people. She made it to the bathroom before she broke down. 2 days later. Girl, you need to eat something. Keisha pushed a plate of food across the table, but Zara just stared at it. They were at their favorite cafe, the one near campus where they'd spent countless hours studying and gossiping and planning their futures. It felt like a lifetime ago. I'm not hungry. You haven't been hungry for 2 days. You're going to make yourself sick. I'm already sick. Zara dropped her head into her hands. I keep seeing him, everywhere. Last night I dreamed he was in my bedroom, and it felt so real I could smell his cologne when I woke up. Keisha reached across the table, squeezing her hand. I'm sorry. I know this is hard. Hard doesn't even cover it. Zara looked up, tears streaming down her face. I loved him, Keisha. I really loved him, and he just left. No explanation, nothing. How do you do that to someone? I don't know, honey, but you're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. The cafe door opened, bringing in a gust of cold air. Zara looked up automatically and froze. Min Jun stood in the doorway, scanning the room. When his eyes found hers, relief flooded his face. No. She stood abruptly, knocking over her water glass. No, no, no. Zara, how did you find me? He approached slowly, hands raised like he was approaching a wounded animal. We need to talk. I said everything I needed to say at the wedding. You didn't let me explain. There's nothing to explain." Her voice rose and people were staring again. She didn't care. "You left. That's all I need to know." Keisha stood, positioning herself between them. "She asked you to leave." Minjun's eyes flicked to Keisha, then back to Zara. 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking. And I'm asking you to get the fuck out of my life." "Zara, get out!" The entire cafe went silent. Minjun stood there, his jaw clenched, his hands curled into fists at his sides. For a moment, she thought he might argue, might refuse to leave, but then he nodded. "I'm sorry. I'm so damn sorry." He turned and walked out. Zara collapsed back into her chair, her whole body shaking. "I can't do this. I can't." "You just did, honey." Keisha sat beside her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "You just did." That night Zara couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, Minjun's face haunting her every time she closed her eyes. Finally, at 2 a.m., she gave up and went to the kitchen for water. Her apartment was small, a studio in a not great neighborhood, but it was hers. Or it would be, once she finished paying off the deposit she'd borrowed from Keisha. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Please, just read this. I owe you that much." MJ A-Link followed. She knew she shouldn't click it, knew she should delete the message and block the number. But her fingers moved on their own. The link opened to a news article. Korean. She couldn't read it, but the pictures told enough of the story. Minjun standing beside an older man, both in suits, both looking serious. She opened Google Translate, copying the headline. "Heir to Kim Corporation returns to Seoul. Questions surrounding succession intensify." Her blood went cold. The article was dated 3 months ago, right after Minjun disappeared. She kept reading, her heart pounding. Minjun Kim, 29, eldest son of Kim Tae-young, has returned to Seoul after an extended stay in the United States. Sources close to the family report tensions regarding the future of Kim Corporation, one of South Korea's largest conglomerates. The younger Kim's sudden return has sparked speculation about his father's health and the company's future leadership. Kim Corporation has extensive ties to both legitimate business ventures and alleged underground operations. Authorities have long suspected the organization of involvement in... The article went on, but Zara couldn't read anymore. Her hands were shaking too badly. Underground operations, conglomerates, heir. Minjun wasn't just rich, he was part of something bigger, something dangerous. Her phone rang, making her jump. Unknown number. She answered without thinking. "Hello?" "You read it." Minjun's voice was rough, tired. "Thank you for that, at least." "What are you?" Silence. Then, "Someone who never should have touched you." "That's not an answer." "It's the only answer I can give you right now." "Why?" Her voice broke. "Why did you leave?" "To protect you. My father—" He stopped. "There are things happening here. Dangerous things. I couldn't let you get caught in the middle of it." "That wasn't your choice to make." "I know. God, Zara, I know. But if anything happened to you because of me, I'd never forgive myself." Tears streamed down her face. "You broke my heart." "I know. And I'll regret it every day for the rest of my life. Why are you here? In the States?" "My cousin's wedding. And you. I came back for you. You can't just come back. You can't just expect me to—" "I'm not expecting anything. I just need you to understand why I left and why I have to go back." "Go back?" "To Seoul in 3 days. My father's sick, Zara. Dying. I have to take over the company." Everything went silent. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. "I'm sorry," he whispered, "for everything. I just wanted you to know you weren't nothing to me. You were everything. You are everything." The line went dead. Zara stood there in her dark kitchen, phone pressed to her ear, crying so hard she could barely stand. The next day. "So he's like what, Korean Mafia?" Keisha's eyes were wide as Zara filled her in at lunch. I don't know. The article mentioned alleged underground operations, but that could mean anything. Girl, that means exactly one thing. Keisha leaned forward. He's dangerous. His family's dangerous. And he was trying to protect you by leaving. That doesn't make it okay. I'm not saying it does. I'm saying I understand it. Keisha sighed. Look, I'm not Team Min-jun or anything. He hurt you. But if what he's saying is true, if being with him puts you in danger, then maybe he made the right call. The right call would have been talking to me, letting me decide. Would you have let him go? Zara opened her mouth, then closed it. Because honestly, she didn't know. 3 months ago, she'd been falling for Min-jun so hard and so fast that she might have followed him to Seoul, might have risked everything. That's what I thought, Keisha said gently. He knew you wouldn't walk away, so he made the choice for you. I hate that. I know, but see, if he's leaving in 3 days, maybe you should talk to him. Get closure. Otherwise, you're going to spend the rest of your life wondering what if. Zara's phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Dinner tonight? Please. I'll answer any question you have. No more secrets. MJ. She stared at the message, her thumb hovering over the delete button. Go, Keisha said. What's the worst that could happen? I could fall for him all over again. Honey, I hate to break it to you, but you never stopped falling. That evening, the restaurant was expensive, the kind of place where Zara felt underdressed even in her best outfit. Min-jun was already there, standing when she approached. He looked tired, shadows under his eyes, but still impossibly handsome in dark slacks and a crisp white shirt. You came. Relief flooded his face. I want answers. She sat down, not letting herself soften at the vulnerability in his eyes. Real ones. I know, I'll tell you everything. A waiter appeared and Min-jun ordered wine. French, expensive. When they were alone again, he leaned forward. My family owns Kim Corporation. On paper, we're a legitimate conglomerate. Technology, real estate, entertainment. But underneath, he paused. My grandfather built the company on less legal foundations. Underground gambling, protection services, money laundering. My father tried to legitimize us, but the old ties remain. Zara's mouth went dry. You're saying your family is criminal? In some ways, yes. But it's more complicated than that. We operate in gray areas. We have powerful enemies and even more powerful allies. And you're supposed to take over? I'm the heir. When my father dies... His voice caught. When he dies, I'll become the head of the Kim family. All the power and all the danger that comes with it. Why did you come to America? To escape. To be normal for a while. He met her eyes. And then I met you. And for the first time in my life, I wanted to stay. I wanted to be just Min-jun, not Min-jun Kim, heir to a criminal empire. But you couldn't. My father had a heart attack. I got the call that night at the jazz club. I had to go back immediately. You could have told me. And say what? Sorry, I have to go back to Korea to run my family's criminal organization? Would you have come with me, knowing what I was walking into? She wanted to say yes, wanted to be the kind of person who'd risk everything for love. But honestly, I don't know. Exactly. He reached across the table, taking her hand. Zara, I left to protect you. My world is dangerous. People in my position, they use the people we love as leverage, as weapons. If anyone knew about you, they'd come after me. Yes, and I couldn't let that happen, so I left. I cut all contact. I tried to erase every trace of us. His grip tightened. But I couldn't erase you from my heart. I tried. God, I tried. But every day I thought about you, wondered if you were okay, if you hated me. I did hate you. Tears blurred her vision. I do hate you. I know. But I also... She couldn't say it. Couldn't admit that despite everything, despite the pain and the betrayal and the lies, she still loved him. "I'm leaving in 3 days," he said softly, "and I'll probably never come back to the States. This is goodbye, Zara. Real goodbye. But I needed you to know the truth. Needed you to know that what we had was real. Was it?" Her voice broke, because it felt like a lie. It was the only real thing in my entire life. The waiter arrived with their food, but neither of them touched it. They just sat there, hands clasped across the table, tears streaming down both their faces. "I wish things were different," Minjun whispered. "Me too. In another life, maybe." "Don't." She pulled her hand away. "Don't make this harder than it already is." He nodded, wiping his eyes. "I'm sorry for everything." "I know." They ate in silence, the weight of everything unsaid pressing down on them. When the check came, Minjun paid without looking at it. "Let me drive you home," he said. "I can take a cab. Please, just let me have this. One last time." Against her better judgment, she nodded. His car was exactly what she'd expected, a sleek black Mercedes that probably cost more than her entire education. He drove in silence, and she watched the city lights blur past her window. "Do you remember that night?" he asked suddenly. "At the jazz club? Of course. I knew the moment I saw you that you were going to change my life. I just didn't know how much." "Minjun, I'm not trying to manipulate you. I just want you to know. You made me believe I could be someone different, someone better. You can still be that person. Not where I'm going." They pulled up to her building. Zara reached for the door handle, but Minjun caught her wrist. "Wait, please." She turned, and the look in his eyes broke her. "What?" "Can I kiss you? One last time?" She should say no, should walk away and never look back, but instead she whispered, "Yes." He leaned across the console, cupping her face in his hands. His touch was gentle, reverent, like she was something precious that might shatter. When his lips met hers, the world fell away. It was soft at first, tender, a goodbye kiss. But then his hand slid into her hair, and hers fisted in his shirt, and the kiss deepened, became desperate, became everything they couldn't say with words. She tasted salt, his tears or hers, she didn't know, and felt his body trembling against her. This was wrong. This was going to destroy her all over again. But she couldn't stop. When they finally broke apart, both gasping, he pressed his forehead to hers. "I love you," he whispered. "I'll love you until the day I die." "Minjun, don't say it back. Please. It'll only make this harder." But she said it anyway. "I love you too." His arms tightened around her, and they stayed like that, wrapped in each other in the front seat of his car, until the sun started to rise. 2 days later, Zara hadn't heard from Minjun since that night. He was leaving tomorrow, and she was trying to convince herself it was for the best. It wasn't working. "You look like death," Keisha said, eyeing her over coffee. "I feel like death." "Have you talked to him?" "No, he's leaving tomorrow. It's over." "Is it?" Keisha tilted her head. "Because from where I'm sitting, it doesn't look over at all." "What am I supposed to do? Follow him to Korea? Throw away my life here for a man I've known for 3 months? I'm not saying that. I'm saying you need to figure out what you want. Not what makes sense. Not what's practical. What do you actually want?" Zara opened her mouth. But before she could answer, the cafe door burst open. A man stumbled in, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. "Help! Someone please help!" Everyone froze. Then chaos erupted. Zara ran to him. "What happened?" "Car accident. Down the street. There's people trapped inside." Someone was already calling 911. Zara and Keisha followed the man outside, where a crowd had gathered around a smoking car that had crashed into a storefront. And then Zara's heart stopped, because the car was a black Mercedes, and trapped inside, unconscious and bleeding, was Minjun. No, she ran forward, but someone grabbed her. Let me go. I need to help him. Miss, you need to stay back. Get off me. She fought, but the arms holding her were strong. Sirens wailed in the distance. Paramedics arrived, extracting Min Jun from the wreckage. He wasn't moving. Please, Zara sobbed. Please, he has to be okay. Please. Keisha appeared beside her, wrapping an arm around her waist. Come on, we'll follow the ambulance. Hospital. 3 hours later. Family of Min Jun Kim. Zara jumped up from the waiting room chair where she'd been sitting, frozen for 3 hours. How is he? The doctor looked at her, then at Keisha. Are you family? Zara hesitated. What was she? His ex? His girlfriend? His nothing? She's his fiancée, Keisha lied smoothly. The doctor nodded. He's stable. Concussion, broken ribs, some internal bleeding that we've managed to stop. He's lucky. A few more minutes and... Can I see him? He's sedated right now, but once he wakes up, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. The doctor left, and Zara collapsed back into the chair. He's okay. He's okay. Yeah, honey. He's okay. Keisha squeezed her shoulder. I'm going to get us some coffee. You want anything? Zara shook her head. She couldn't think about food or drink, could barely think at all. What if he died? What if she'd never gotten to tell him? Zara? She looked up. A woman stood there, Asian, elegant, probably in her 50s. Behind her were 2 men in suits who looked like bodyguards. Yes? I'm Min Jun's mother, Kim Hae-jin. The woman's English was perfect, her accent soft. The hospital called me. They said you were here. Yes, I wanted to make sure he was okay. Hae-jin studied her with dark eyes that were eerily similar to Min Jun's. You're the American girl, the one he wouldn't tell us about. Zara's throat went dry. He told you about me. Not willingly, but a mother knows when her son is in love. Hae-jin sat beside her. He's been miserable since he came back to Seoul. Wouldn't eat, couldn't sleep, just worked himself to death trying to forget. I don't understand. Why are you telling me this? Because I need you to understand what my son gave up for you. Hae-jin's voice was gentle but firm. Min Jun didn't want to take over the company. He wanted to stay here, with you. But his father is dying and duty calls. He sacrificed his happiness to protect both you and his family. I know. He told me. Did he tell you about the threats? Zara's blood went cold. What threats? Hae-jin pulled out her phone, showing Zara a photo. It was of Zara herself, walking to campus, coming out of her apartment, sitting in the cafe with Keisha. Where did you get these? Our enemies took them. 3 months ago, right before Min Jun came back to Seoul. They knew about you. They were planning to use you to control him. Hae-jin's expression hardened. That's why he left so suddenly. That's why he cut all contact. If he'd stayed, if he'd kept seeing you, they would have killed you. Zara couldn't breathe. He never told me. He wouldn't. He wanted you to hate him, to move on. It was safer that way. But he came back. For his cousin's wedding. Against my advice, he insisted. Said he needed to see you one more time, even if you hated him, even if it put him at risk. Hae-jin took Zara's hand. That accident wasn't an accident. Someone cut his brake lines. What? Someone tried to kill him because he came back here, because of you. Tears streamed down Zara's face. This is insane. This can't be real. It's very real, and now you have a choice to make. Hae-jin stood. You can walk away, forget my son, live your safe, normal life, or you can fight for him. But if you choose to fight, you need to understand what you're walking into. Danger, violence, a world where love is a weapon and people die. I need to think. Take your time. But know this. My son loves you more than anything in this world, and that love might destroy him. Jin turned to leave, then paused. "The room is 412, when you're ready." Zara sat in that waiting room for another hour, her mind spinning. Everything made sense now. The sudden disappearance, the cold silence. Min-jun hadn't abandoned her because he didn't care. He'd left because he cared too much. "What are you going to do?" Keisha asked, returning with coffee that had long since gone cold. "I don't know." "Yes, you do." Keisha squeezed her hand. "You've known since the moment you saw him in that car." "If I go to him, my life changes forever." "Honey, your life already changed the moment you met him in that jazz club." Zara looked at her best friend, the person who'd been by her side through everything. "What would you do?" "I'd fight." Keisha smiled. "Love like that doesn't come around twice. And if you walk away now, you'll regret it for the rest of your life." "What if it kills me? What if it saves you?" Room 412. Min-jun was awake when Zara entered, bruised, bandaged, hooked up to a dozen machines, but awake. His eyes widened when he saw her. "Zara, your mother told me everything." She walked to his bedside, her hands trembling. The threats, the photos, the brake lines. He closed his eyes. "I told her not to." "Don't. Don't you dare apologize for people trying to kill you because of me. This is exactly why I left. This is what I was trying to protect you from. You don't get to make that choice for me." Her voice rose and tears spilled down her cheeks. "You don't get to decide what risks I take, what I'm willing to fight for." "Zara, I love you, you idiot. I love you, and I'm not going to let you push me away again, not this time." "You don't know what you're saying. My world is dangerous." "I know. Your mom made that pretty clear." She sat on the edge of his bed, taking his hand. "But I don't care. I'd rather be in danger with you than safe without you. You could die. Everyone dies, Min-jun, but not everyone lives. And these past 3 months without you? That wasn't living. That was just existing." He pulled her closer, his hand cupping her face. "I'm so sorry. For everything. For leaving. For lying. For not being strong enough to stay away. Don't be sorry, just promise me. No more secrets. No more running. We face whatever comes together." "Together," he whispered. "I promise." She leaned down, pressing her forehead to his. "I'm coming with you. To Seoul." "What about your degree? Your life here?" "I can finish my degree anywhere. And my life." She smiled through her tears. "My life is wherever you are." "God, I love you." He pulled her into a kiss, desperate, grateful, full of promises. When they broke apart, both crying, he whispered against her lips, "I'm never letting you go again." "Good, because I'm not going anywhere." 2 weeks later. "You sure about this?" Keisha helped Zara pack the last of her boxes. "Honestly, no, I'm terrified." Zara looked around her tiny apartment, the place that had been home for 2 years. "But I'm also sure that I can't live without him." "Girl, you're braver than me." Keisha hugged her tight. "But I'm going to miss the hell out of you." "I'll miss you too, but you better visit. Seoul has amazing shopping." "Oh, I'm definitely visiting. Someone's got to make sure this Korean prince is treating you right." They both laughed, but it sounded sad. "Hey," Keisha said softly, "you're doing the right thing. Following your heart." "I hope so." The door opened and Min-jun walked in. He was still healing, moved slower than before, winced sometimes, but he was alive. That was all that mattered. "Ready?" he asked. Zara looked around one more time, then nodded. "Ready, Seoul." 3 months later, Zara stood at the window of Min-jun's, their apartment, watching the city lights sparkle below. Seoul was nothing like she'd imagined. It was louder, brighter, more alive, and scary as hell. The past 3 months had been a crash course in survival. She'd learned about the family business, all of it, the good and the terrifying. She'd met Min-jun's father before he died, a stern man who'd looked at her like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. She'd attended family meetings where people discussed things that kept her up at night. But she'd also fallen more in love with Min-jun every single day. Arms wrapped around her waist, and she leaned back against Min-jun's chest. "What are you thinking about?" he murmured against her hair. "How different my life is now." "Regrets?" "Not a single one." She turned in his arms, smiling up at him. "Well, maybe one. I regret not slapping you harder at that wedding." He laughed, the sound filling the apartment. "I probably deserved worse." "Definitely deserved worse." She kissed him softly. "But I'll let it slide." "Generous of you." His hand slid down to her hips, pulling her closer. "Marry me." She blinked. "What?" "Marry me. I know we haven't talked about it, and I don't have a ring yet, but I can't wait anymore. I want you to be my wife. I want to make this official. Min-jun, I know my world is crazy. I know every day is a risk, but I want to face it all with you, as my partner, my equal, my wife." He dropped to one knee, even though it clearly hurt his still healing ribs. "Zara Williams, will you marry me?" She stared at him. This beautiful, complicated, dangerous man who'd turned her entire life upside down, who'd broken her heart and put it back together, who'd risked everything for her. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times, yes." He stood, lifting her off her feet and spinning her around. She laughed, crying, kissing him like her life depended on it. "I love you," he said against her lips. "I love you too, so damn much. We should celebrate. Call Keisha, my mother. Make it a whole thing. Or," she pulled him toward the bedroom, "we could celebrate privately first." His eyes darkened. "I like the way you think." The celebration, 2 days later. The restaurant was packed with people. Min-jun's family, Zara's friends who'd flown in from the States, business associates, and more. It was overwhelming and perfect and terrifying all at once. "Speech!" someone shouted. Min-jun stood, raising his glass. Zara's hand was clasped tight in his, grounding her. "3 months ago," he began, "I was in a car accident that should have killed me. Instead, it brought me back to the woman I love, the woman who's crazy enough to love me back." Laughter rippled through the crowd. "Zara, you changed my life. You made me believe I could be more than my family name, more than my duty. You made me believe in love." Zara's eyes filled with tears. "So here's to new beginnings," Min-jun continued, "to taking risks, to loving fiercely and fighting harder, and to the woman who taught me that happily ever after isn't a fairy tale. It's a choice we make every single day." "To new beginnings," the crowd echoed. Keisha stood next, raising her glass. "I just want to say, Z, I'm so proud of you. You took a leap of faith, and look at you now, living in Seoul, engaged to a hot Korean billionaire, living your best life." She winked. "But if he ever hurts you again, I'm flying back here to kick his ass." Everyone laughed, including Min-jun. "Also," Keisha continued, her voice softening, "I have some news of my own. I met someone." Zara's eyes widened. "What? When? Who?" "His name is Jae-sung. He's one of Min-jun's security team. And before you ask, yes, it's serious. Like really serious." A man stood from the back of the room, tall, handsome, with a smile that lit up his entire face. He walked to Keisha, taking her hand. "Hi," he said shyly. "I'm Jae-sung." "Oh my God!" Zara jumped up, hugging Keisha. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I wanted to surprise you. Plus, I wasn't sure if it was real or if I was just caught up in the romance of it all. But," she looked at Jae-sung, her eyes soft, "it's real." "It's very real," Jae-sung confirmed, kissing her hand. The restaurant erupted in applause. Min-jun leaned over to Zara. "Did you know about this?" "Not a clue, but I'm so happy for her." "Me too." He pulled her closer. "Thank you." "For what?" "For choosing me. For fighting for us, for being brave enough to love me even when it was dangerous." "Thank you for being worth it." She kissed him softly. "For being my everything." 6 months later, the wedding was small, just close family and friends. Zara wore a simple white dress that cost more than her entire education, and Min Jun looked devastatingly handsome in a custom suit. They exchanged vows in English and Korean, promising to love each other through the chaos and the danger and the beautiful, messy, complicated life they'd built together. When Min Jun kissed her, the room erupted in cheers. Keisha and Jae Sung stood beside them, holding hands. They'd gotten engaged last month, and Zara had cried for an hour straight when Keisha called to tell her. "We made it," Min Jun whispered against her lips. "We did," Zara agreed, "against all odds." "Think we'll get a happily ever after?" She looked up at him. This man she'd loved through heartbreak and danger and everything in between. "I think we'll make our own happily ever after, one day at a time." "One day at a time," he repeated. "I can work with that." They danced until dawn, surrounded by the people they loved. And for the first time since that night in the jazz club, Zara felt complete, whole, home. Because home wasn't a place, it was a person. It was Min Jun, and no matter what came next, what dangers or challenges or impossibilities, they'd face it together, always together. Epilogue. 1 year later, Zara stood in the nursery, holding their daughter. Min-ah had her father's dark eyes and her mother's smile. She was perfect. "How are my girls?" Min Jun asked from the doorway. "We're good. She just ate." He crossed the room, wrapping his arms around them both. "I can't believe she's real, that this is real." "Believe it." Zara leaned into him. "We made a person. We made a whole life together." He kissed her temple. "Remember when you slapped me at that wedding?" "How could I forget? It was very satisfying." He laughed. "Best thing that ever happened to me." "The slap?" "No, you, standing up to me, refusing to let me push you away, fighting for us when I was too scared to fight for myself. I'd do it again, every single time." Mina yawned, her tiny fist curling against Zara's chest. Zara looked down at her daughter, at this new life they'd created, and felt overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of her love. "Thank you," she whispered to Min Jun. "For what?" "For everything. For being worth the risk, for giving me this life, for loving me enough to let me choose." "Thank you for choosing me." He kissed her soft and sweet. "Every single day." They stood there in the quiet nursery, holding each other and their daughter, watching the Seoul sunrise paint the sky in shades of gold and pink. A new day, a new beginning, a life built on love and courage, and the unwavering belief that together they could survive anything. And they would. Because that's what love was, choosing each other every single day, no matter what.